And we are live. Hello, everybody out there who may be tuning in either now or sometime in the future. The future. Anyways, so we are here tonight with the third and final installment of the Astra Gates, my extremely bizarre version of Harbinger, as if it was told from the point of view of the sci-fi films of the late 80s and 90s. We are missing one player tonight. She fell ill, so Lisa, we're thinking about you. We're missing you. Hope you get to feeling better. We also have a fourth player, Thomas, who hopefully will be able to join us here in just a moment. But we're going to go ahead and get everything kind of started off here so we don't run too late. So first off, yeah, this is my channel, the Erasmus Expeditions. Welcome. Hopefully you stick around and catch some videos, and hopefully you enjoy them. So this is Harbinger is a twist on 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. It's put out by a excellent group of guys, a fantastic company called Absolute Tabletop. If you don't know about them already, well, your life is sadder. You really do need to go check them out. Harbinger is their sweet sci-fi kind of blanket that they put over the skeleton of 5th edition. It's pretty awesome. It's kind of in the playtest phase now. You can go and sign up for it. Find it on their website. Google's your friend. Other than that, I think that about covers everything as far as my introduction. So I will go ahead and toss it over to my players one at a time and let them do their intros. And then we'll start getting things moving a little closer towards business. So to start us off, why don't you take it away, Drake?
Hey guys, I'm Drake. I run the YouTube channel, The RPG Construct. I'm also half of the Something RPG-ish podcast with Jake Norman. Yeah, I'm playing Xander Gerald, a detective in the Chrome City Police Department. Looking forward to how we're going to finish out today.
Hey everyone, I'm Philip Matty. I don't have any YouTube channels. I just like to play D&D with some awesome DMs around the community. I'm playing Sparks, who is Mechanist Fixer specialization. And I am also looking forward to finding out who's dealing these drugs in Chrome City.
My name is Michael. I also don't have a YouTube channel. I also am not associated with Facebook, so I miss out on all of the awesomeness that happens. I just happen to be a real-life friend of Jeremy's, so I get invited to a lot of the really cool games. So I am blessed in that regard. But I am playing Calvin. He is a Mancer. This is a variant spellcaster, and we're just looking to continue the story.
Yeah, and does anybody want to go over a recap as to what happened over the last 2 sessions?
Well, a lot happened. Let's see. We were initially, as a group, in a bar, and all of us are kind of different ranks as far as in the Chrome City Police Department. We stood up to a group of baddies called the Chrome City Cobras. In this bar called Cappies or Chappies. Ultimately, we had a very big fight. A bunch of people died, including our friend Cappy. We then went to the Chrome City Cobra's den. They're in like a secret hideaway, like a video store where the password was Blockbuster. We then kind of went down into their club, and Jeremy, what was the lady's name?
Cherry Cordial.
Cherry Cordial. We saw her perform. Let's just leave it at that. Our missing member, Noma, got a special kiss from her in the bathroom, but we got some information through Cherry and her boyfriend and about this new drug called Fade. Our resident mechanist there, Sparks, took some of it and was blitzed out of his mind for a while. We then tried to infiltrate the supply line and went to this big warehouse type deal, just trying to get our hands on some. I think that's about what it was, right, guys? And then when we did, we went back to our place, and if I remember correctly, basically like a gunship, like or a ship appeared outside of the balcony, flying, and if I remember correctly, I void slipped or teleported myself into the cockpit and put the gun to the guy's head, and I think that's where we stopped. I'm sure I missed a lot or left a lot out, but that's as much as I recall.
Well, that's actually a pretty good coverage of bases, man. I appreciate that. You can have a point of inspiration. So yeah, you guys, at least at face value, have been kicked off the force. You know, you had one of those scenes where the chief reamed you out for, you know, being too reckless. You're a loose cannon, you know, all that bullshit. And at least as far as the public is concerned, you've been released from the force. So, yeah, just one or two other points of business. The one thing that I want to make sure to cover, it's usually the warning I give on the front of all my videos, is that we are adults, at least in age, and this is an adult game. So sometimes the topics can venture into the mature, and the language will absolutely be inappropriate for children, and just my general sense of humor. So this is your last warning. If that kind of stuff bothers you, exeunt. Do yourself a favor. If not, then stick around and enjoy the cursing along with hopefully good gaming. So, unless anybody has any questions before we start. Thomas is still having issues, but hopefully we can get that sorted out here.
I do have a question.
Okay, excellent. What you got?
The helmet, the Judge Dredd helmet that I got. What were the effects on that again?
Let's see. The Helm of the Dreaded Judge. It gives a +1 to your armor.
Okay.
And dark vision up to 60 feet.
Okay.
And then in addition, once per short rest, when the wearer utters a terrible one-liner, they are granted advantage on their next attack roll.
Okay. I'll work on that. Thanks, bud.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, cool. Let's see. It sucks when a player has trouble like this and like I can't do anything.
Shit happens, man.
Yeah. I wish I could just reach through the internet, Thomas, and just cradle your hand at the very least. Anyways, okay. So, yes, you guys are on board a gunship outside of the apartment building where you just were moments before, because it had pulled up alongside the balcony, and through possession of Astra or just jumping on board, you've all managed to slip onto this ship. Noma has taken her leave. It was something urgent that came up, and you got the feeling that it might involve cherry cordial. And you found that the person piloting this vessel was the individual that had been introduced to you as the Peacock. It was the lover, toy, you're not really sure exactly, of Ezekiel. Ezekiel was the head of the Chrome City Cobras that you had met down at the docks. And you were a little surprised to find the Peacock sitting in the driver's seat. And the pomp and circumstance now seemed kind of gone from his, maybe, his speech and general behavior, and he told you that you needed to come with him, that there was a lot of things that needed to be discussed, but there wasn't much time to do it just sitting around. So, as the three of you have gotten on board this ship, what are you doing?
I think Xander would probably be a little reluctant to take that that pistol out of the Peacock's head. I think with everyone else jumping on, he would probably keep it in his hand. He wouldn't actually put it back in the holster. He might begrudgingly take it away from the Peacock's head, but just kind of look around and try to take in as much as he can. Just trying to remember everything.
Calvin's gonna grab that tracker that we put on it on the way in. He'll use his grab shift. So he'll un-astral adhesion it and then grab shift it over to himself, and then stow it somewhere inside and hide it. So if we need to track it later, we have access to that.
Sparks is going to be kind of looking around the ship, trying to figure out, you know, if it's got any modifications. What's the thrust on this puppy? He asks Peacock.
The thrust? Oh, the ship, yes. Well, he's like, I don't really know the specs all that well, to tell you the truth. It's like, it's not exactly mine, if you understand what I'm getting at. But it's a Knight Industries Hoff 2000. If that tells you anything. Suddenly, by the way, this is kind of what the ship looks like. Maybe. Teasing. During other activities, this is known as foreplay. Enjoy it. There it is. Oh. So, this is kind of what the ship looks like from the outside. And it's definitely a gunship. I mean, it's got missiles, it's got lasers, it's got actual slug throwing guns, and it's definitely not. It doesn't look like old tech, or if it is, it's very rare old tech.
Xander would, after he said that, what do you mean it's not exactly yours? Whose is it?
He kind of sighs. He's like, well, it belongs to Ezekiel. But, well, I stole it from him.
You stole it from your boss. Are you crazy? And
well,
then you're picking us up in it? He's going to kill you. He's going to take your freaking head off. We don't want to die with you.
Relax. I'm an undercover cop. I've been in his employ for 4 years now. And whenever you decided to come around asking your questions, well, it kind of got him a little paranoid, and he started asking some pretty deep questions about everybody on his staff. So I decided that it was time to change things up.
And who's your commanding officer?
I work for the chief.
Well, shit. The Peacock's a pig, huh? Didn't see that coming.
I guess you could say it that way.
Seems a little convenient.
So
Well,
where are you taking us? We're off the force.
Yeah, I know you guys say you're off the force, but it takes a pig to know a pig, you know? I can smell you a mile away. So, it sounds like that even though you're off the force, that you've become kind of tangled up in all of this fade business.
Yeah, you could say that.
So I thought that if it was something that you really wanted to get to the bottom of, that maybe you wanted to come with me, straight to the source.
Where might that be?
There's an asteroid that's got an exceedingly long and complicated number attached to it in the asteroid belt around Bastion. It's on one of those, and apparently they're getting ready to do a very major harvest, is what they started referring to it as.
Who's running it?
That I don't know yet. I figured we could figure that out once we got there.
So you really don't think Ezekiel's going to notice that you took this brand new shiny ship?
Oh, I'm sure he probably has. That's why we should probably hurry.
Yeah, but
Do you think he doesn't have a way to track it?
Oh, I took care of that. You look over, there's like a panel that's been opened, and there's a bunch of loose wires like sticking out of it.
I think with that, Xander would say, Sparks, take a look at that. See if he really did what he said he did.
Let me see what you've done here. 26.
Yeah, I mean this at some point was likely the equivalent of like a transponder, and it's just not there anymore. There's a big empty space with all of these wires that should connect to something, and there's just nothing there for them to connect to.
Yeah, it's disabled. Actually, it's gone.
I think with that, Xander would just nod.
Oh, and there's one more piece of information that you might find interesting. The connection with Fade doesn't stop with Ezekiel. I'm pretty positive that Canisto Aldemont is also involved. You guys would recognize this name as the Lord Warden's son, the man who is also the Count of Chrome City. So the head of the Sept is this dude's father, the person he's referring to.
What proof do you have of his connection?
He says, well, I've seen more than one communication come in between him and Ezekiel. That was the first hint. So, like, second, some of these boxes that have been coming in go straight to his house. So he's got to have something to do with it.
I believe that was for his birthday.
Yeah, you're talking about the champagne.
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that champagne definitely had more than champagne in it.
Maybe you're just made to think that he's involved. Maybe somebody's putting you on that trail. That way you get involved with the Septs. So the Septs take care of Ezekiel's dirty work. You snooping around, us snooping around.
Maybe. But it's a pretty strong hunch. Let me tell you, it's tough to let a strong hunch go. I'm sure that you might understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's probably best that we at least figure out where this stuff is coming from. All right. Now I'm in.
You too?
If we can root out Callisto and bring him down, this will look good if we bring him to the chief first. Maybe he'll let us back on.
Yeah, that's a probably a pretty solid bet. I think we should definitely get some hard evidence first.
Is there any connection to this Count's son?
The Count doesn't have a son. You talking about the son who's involved, Canisto?
Oh, okay.
He is the Count of Chrome City. His father is the Sept of Cadians, which is the planet that you or the moon that you live on.
Okay.
So he's kind of like the big honcho's
He's
kid.
the son that I'm thinking of.
Yes. Yeah.
That's actually the whole reason that I'm here. I actually transferred from there and bumped myself down to a B cop. He has actually died on at least one occasion from overdosing from this fade. And I'm actually working with his father. So if his involvement is more than just a usage, then I'm definitely in.
You were sent here by the Sept leader, by the Lord Warden?
Yes.
And you're trying to track down information on Canisto's usage of Fade?
I didn't realize his involvement was that deep, but yes.
Well, holy shit. Welcome to the deep end of the pool.
Yeah, you're fucking telling me.
So let me get this straight. You had some type of special orders that superseded the orders that you got from me or the chief, and you didn't tell nobody about it?
You can tell why I didn't.
But you're putting the Sept, you're putting this ruling family ahead of your team, your department.
I'm here, aren't I?
Yeah,
what exactly is your mission, man? Are you supposed to kill this guy or bring him back? What are you doing here?
Or are you just spying on us?
No, I'm trying to get his son clean at home.
Why do you care about his son? He ain't nobody to you. You're nothing but a grunt.
His father will owe me a favor.
He's not some junkie, man. He's a drug kingpin. We can't just get him clean. He needs to get fucking taken out, man. It's the elite. They're always doing this. They think they're above the rules.
Do you really think he's going to make good on that favor? You're nothing to him. He's never going to get anything. I've seen that shit before. These houses, these Septs, think they can get people like you and me to do their dirty work. Let him get his own son clean. We need to look out for ourselves.
Yeah, you speak a lot of truths, guys. But I don't know.
Well, if you're on board, then we really should get going.
Yeah, let's go find this place.
Good. Glad to hear it. And he kind of leans over and says, Kit, head us to the docks, please. Dock 1138. That's the clearance that we'll need, and we want departure immediately, please. And the sconce nearby, the one closest to the pilot's chair, kind of crackles to life, this blue fire kind of leaping up out of it. It's almost like digital fire. It's pixelated, and the flames slowly take the form of the bust, the head and shoulders and face of a figure, a human figure. And he says, yes, sir, right away. I understand, and you'll be taking us to our usual destination? And the peacock says, yes, we'll be heading to the usual destination, but Kit, let's keep this one under wraps. And Kit just kind of stands there for a moment, and then just simply nods. And he says, your wish is my command. And then he fizzles into pixelated sparks and disappears. So you begin taxiing across the city, flying kind of low, weaving in and out of these buildings and the smog, other flying vehicles hovering past you. And the city spreads out before you, kind of the opposite of what you might expect from a place called Chrome City. This place is dingy, dirty. There's grime everywhere. And you know that this is really just kind of a symbolic thing, as the corrosion is in all of the crevices, the cracks, the places that are hard to see, hard to get to, just like the corruption of the city. It runs deep down into its very structure, but it's always just out of sight. You fly through the city, passing enormous billboards on the sides of buildings, advertising their various wares. And up ahead, through the rain, you're able to see the ballista, the port that will launch you off of this moon and into the cold depth of space. The clearance given to the towers by Kit goes through without any problem at all. And for any of you who have ever traveled off moon before, this is usually a pretty lengthy process. There's a lot of checks and balances that go into it most of the time. So how smoothly this goes probably surprises you. Those of you who have been off moon, that is. You slip into one of the docking bays, and instead of landing, you head straight forward into the actual area of the ballista itself, shuffled ahead of anybody who may be queued. These large connective arms kind of reach out and grab a hold of the Hoff 2000 that you're riding in, and then slowly pivot it from horizontal into a vertical position. And you notice that the Peacock starts strapping in with a 5-point harness.
I would definitely do the same.
Yeah, I'll quickly find the seat and strap in.
Yep.
I'm going to astral adhesion myself to the seat.
Excellent. So one way or another, you all secure yourselves in place. And he simply kind of looks over to you in a rather casual fashion and says, all right, here we go. Hold on. There's a countdown that begins. Kit, not visibly appearing, but just giving audio cues as he counts down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good luck. And the entire ship begins to shake as the igniters come on, and huge jets of flame begin pouring out of the back of this cradle that you've been kind of attached to. The ship itself doesn't have enough power for this kind of a liftoff, so this cradle supplements the power of the ship. And it begins shaking more and more violently, and the flames outside the windows of your ship turn from red and orange to vibrant colors of blue and purple. And then all of a sudden, everything blurs away from you as you are pressed hard into the backs of your seats. You feel your organs inside compressing. Your head begins to pound. Your eyes feel like they want to roll into the back of your head. And then, almost as fast as it started, it stops. And you feel the lightest that you've ever felt in your entire life. And as your senses kind of come back to you, you realize that you've exited the atmosphere of Cadians. You're now in space. So, for the three of you, is this the first time that your character's been in space? And how are they feeling about this situation right now?
Yeah, it's a first time for me. He feels ecstatic. He actually releases the adhesion and heads to a window as soon as possible to look down on the moon that he left behind.
This is not Spark's first time in space, but the last time he was in space, it was a joyride a few years back when he hopped on, and it was nothing near as nice as this ship. And it was a bumpy ride, and they were barely breaking the atmosphere. So this is a pretty new experience to him still, and he'll be, like flipping around and stuff.
Yeah, Xander's been out here a few times. He's been off-world, many different moons, but he hates zero-G. It makes him nauseous, makes him want to throw up. Has never had a good experience out here, so he's been here, but he doesn't want to be.
So, looking out the window, you're able to see Cadian, kind of starting to slip away. And in the darkness that is the side that is Chrome City, you can see the lights of the city glowing almost vaguely like blue Astra in a dark space. It kind of twinkles the same, even. And as the Peacock engages the thrusters on the Hoff 2000, you start heading around the planet until eventually splayed out before you is Bastion itself, the huge gas giant that each of these moons orbits. It takes a little while, maybe half an hour, but soon you're zipping through the asteroid belt that circles the planet. And are you all still wandering about? Or have you found something to occupy your time with? You've been told that the journey will probably last about another half an hour.
Xander's has not unhooked his harness from his chair. He does not want to float around. He's going to sit right here.
I want to try to make a sentry, but it takes an hour and some materials. So I wonder if I can make a lesser sentry or something.
What if I help him? Can we reduce the time?
Well, yeah, you guys will be on board for roughly an hour, and I'm okay with you being able to effectively, fit it into that time frame. This the ship is stocked with some kinds of tools and things that you've only heard of before. So it's very, very well set up.
Yeah, this is going to be the best looking sentry that Sparks has ever made. He's going to have wire length and the right color to indicate proper voltage. It's looking spiffy.
Excellent. So yeah, you're able to set it up with all of the specifications that you may have ever dreamed of before. So as you're zipping through this asteroid belt, with the sensors kind of helping to guide the ship towards this your destination, where you've been told these things called the Astra gates await you. The Peacock was unclear as to exactly what that meant, but he'd heard the phrase more than once. He himself has never been allowed to come out here, but he knows that Ezekiel has made the trip multiple times. So as you're gliding through, all of a sudden, I imagine that it may be even on autopilot. And I think that the only one who's in the cockpit is probably Xander at this point. And Xander, from where you are, strapped into your chair, on the dashboard, you see a light begin to blink very rapidly. And there's a small little alarm that accompanies it. Kind of annoying little re kind of noise.
Where is the Peacock at this point?
Outside of the cockpit. I'm not sure.
I think Xander would at first just be like, hey, whatever his name was.
Kit?
And just start kind of, what's up?
You talking about Kit or the Peacock?
The Peacock. The Peacock. I'd be like, hey, you got something up here. Some alarm. Hello. Somebody needs to do something about this alarm. Maybe the computer would respond, but
yeah, Kit kind of sparkles back to life, and he says, "Did you need assistance?"
Yeah. What does this alarm mean?
He kind of cranes his neck as if his digital visage is actually looking over at the alarm, and he says, "Oh, that's the incoming proximity alert."
Maybe we should get out of the way of whatever's coming.
Oh, I've enacted evasive maneuvers. And as he says that, you see two missiles streak past the windows of the cockpit.
Missiles. They're shooting missiles at us.
Yes, that's actually pretty standard scrub procedure.
Yeah. So now we're not just going against Septs. Now they're Scrugs. This is getting better and better.
Oh yeah, they're very, very thick out here in the asteroid belt. It's probably just a standard boarding procedure.
Maybe we could fire back.
Oh yes, I mean I could attempt that, but my targeting computers are not as accurate as humans. So
Sparks. I'd be screaming for Sparks.
Hey,
yeah, imagine. Yeah,
what
whatever
the fuck
you're up
was that?
to, you probably the ship banks and you're tossed all over the place. But you probably hear Xander's muffled voice coming from the front of the ship, calling for help.
Yeah, I run into there. What the fuck is that? What's going on?
There, look, talk to this computer. It's saying things are shooting missiles. There's
Kit,
scrugs.
what's going on? Kit, status.
He turns and he says, "You require assistance?"
What's the status, Kit?
Oh, we're under attack.
All right, where are the weapons?
Oh, just head down the hallway. There's a little cross section there. You can go to the left or the right, either one, and that'll put you right in the gunner seat.
Are there more? Is there more than one gunner's seat?
Yes, absolutely, of course. And if somebody would kindly sit in this chair here, and he kind of indicates the pilot's chair, he said you could operate the missiles from here as well.
All right, take the seat. And
as Sparks is running out, Calvin's going to be running in to find out what the fuck's going on.
Calvin, come with me. Get in the seat over here. As we run down the hallway.
About that time, the Peacock shows back up. You're guessing from the restroom. He kind of looks surprised, like, what's going on?
Fucking Scruggs, we're under attack, man.
Scruggs, damn it. And he turns and runs towards the cockpit, sliding into the pilot's chair once he gets there.
I'm not moving. I'm staying right there, holding onto this seat for dear life.
Yep. You might even be a little white knuckle at this point.
Mm-hmm. I'm freaking out.
All
I
right,
don't want to die out in space.
So, Sparks and Calvin, the two of you are able to make your way into these swivel chairs. Of course, very, very similar in style to the Millennium Falcon. They definitely pivot kind of in a 360-degree kind of situation. And pivoting around, you see what looks like two ships. Some of you may have some experience dealing with Scruggs, but they're definitely Scrug ships. They're repurposed to hell and back again. You know, they've got things bolted to the outside of them, stuff welded in place, kind of haphazard. They're probably not really space-worthy, but they don't seem to mind. And they are behind you and closing very fast. And just about the time that you are able to spin around and get your guns trained in that direction, you see the contrails of two more missiles spiral. And just about the time that they get within uncomfortable range of the Hoff 2000, it banks and banks pretty hard to the left. And both of them pass by the body of the space vessel very closely.
Would there be anything around Xander, like a little bag or something? Because he with this, between the fear and him not liking space, I think he'd be kind of getting motion sick right now. Like, yeah, he's either going to go in bag or he's just going to blow chunks in the middle of the cockpit.
Yeah, there's probably a little half mask thing that you can attach to your face, and it's got like a vacuum hose to kind of attach to it for specifically that kind of instance.
Yeah, I would do that in a split second before it got to my face. I would just vomit a huge amount, but because it's right there, it would get sucked up into the mask. Maybe there's just a couple pieces on my face. Mm-hmm. It's gross.
Yeah, for sure. That's tasty. Tastes better the second time, right? So, yeah, it's definitely. I mean, especially with the Peacock at the controls, it is pitching and rolling and yawing all over the place. He's zipping in and out between these asteroids. One of the missiles collides against an asteroid and actually crumbles the thing into thousands of pieces, and the other one kind of comes back around and is trying to fall in behind you, and it looks like one of you is probably going to have to try to gun it out of the sky, or well, not sky, but you get it.
So Calvin's tracing it, and it starts going to the other side of the ship. Sparks is coming around on your side. Get him!
Sparks is gonna let loose.
All right. So go ahead and give me some attack rolls. Give me you can have 3 attack rolls. This thing shoots pretty damn fast. It'll be dex based.
Okay. I have 13. I have an 8 and I have an 11.
Okay, the 13 will barely hit. The other 2 are going to glance. Man. Well, actually, this doesn't have shields, but this is just a missile. But the 13 will barely hit. So go ahead and roll 2d10. You can add your dex modifier to that as well if you'd like.
11 damage.
Excellent. Okay.
As the
so,
Scrug ship's like weaving in and out, or it's coming right around. I'm firing at it, and I am able to hit it right before it goes behind an asteroid.
Yeah, and what you actually make contact with is not the Scrug ship. It's actually the missile that was inbound at you guys, the second one that didn't detonate on the meteor. And 10 points of damage is what it was going to take to destroy it outright. And you managed to do 11. So you shoot, you shoot, and it detonates, and it blows into this very perfect sphere of fire for just a moment before it just completely disappears, lacking any oxygen to continue burning for any length of time at all. And you see these 2 Scrug ships slipping in, and all of a sudden, one of them starts burning red energy, the magenta-colored Astra, trailing out of the back of its ship as it gains speed, not unlike somebody who has nitrous hooked to their car. Just all of a sudden, it gets this incredible burst of speed, and it flies right past you. It had to have been within 20 feet of the hull. And you all feel your ship kind of rock for an instant. And Xander, you see yet another alarm start going off. And the Peacock looks over and says, "Shit."
What now?
There's been a hull breach.
Of course there is. Where?
In engineering. We got to get back there. We've got to seal that up.
Why don't you go back there and I'll drive?
Ah, damn it. Fine. He gets up and starts putting on a suit.
Because we all don't want to die.
And I would jump up, undo my harness, jump up, and quickly get strapped into the pilot seat. Is there anything on there that I can see this is where missiles are fired from? Because I do want to do something. And if I can figure out a way to get these missiles to lock on and shoot, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. You've just noticed, as you sit down, you notice that they have been primed and they're ready for fire. So it's basically just waiting for a target to be input.
Can I target one or both of these Scrug ships?
You'd be able to target one of them right now. The other one is still behind you. But the one that just passed your ship is kind of starting to bank, but he's definitely in your scope, as it were.
I would like to shoot that missile at that one.
Okay. Yeah, so go ahead and roll an attack. It'll be, again, dexterity-based.
It's going to be a 15?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So this tracks on. You track onto him, and it gives you that little confirmation, that little beep, 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 letting you know that it's locked on target. And then it's waiting for you to just basically decide how many of the missiles you want to shoot.
Let's go with 2.
Okay. So it locks on and then fires. So this time, give me an attack roll, this time with advantage. And because you've locked on, you can add your proficiency modifier to it.
Okay. That is a nat 20.
Excellent. Okay. So, yeah, these 2 missiles release and zoom out away from you. And they bank and start following this Scrug ship as it's kind of peeling away off to the right. and they don't miss a beat. They fall in line with one another, side by side, follow where this thing has turned, and collide with the rear of his ship. So go ahead and roll me 2d20 and double that.
Okay. So it's going to be 14 and 17, so 31, so it's 62 damage.
And would you please describe to me what it looks like as you take this Scrug ship out?
I imagine this missile, it's trailing, and as the Scrug ship is banking in and out of asteroids, it's going with it, just turn for turn. And just as it gets right up to the rear engine port, it just and explodes. And you can actually see parts of the rear engine port just breaking off and falling off. And as this ship actually starts to tumble, just head over heels, just back and forth. And as it starts to just kind of break apart, you can see sparks flying and fire coming out of it. And then as it's coming, another one of these large asteroids goes right in front of it, and it just smashes right into the asteroid into nothing.
Absolutely. It just gets obliterated. There's nothing but space dust left afterwards. And you might see a little bit of particulated blood kind of spraying out from it. The Peacock comes in over the radio and he says, well, I got some good news and I've got some bad news. Which do you want to hear first?
Quit wasting time. Just talk.
Fine. I've got the hole sealed up. It's patched up. We're not losing atmosphere anymore. We should be good. But the bad news is that there's some kind of device that punched this hole through the hull. It's definitely Scrug made. It's attached itself to the opposite wall in, well, I think it scanned the room. About that time, you see the second Scrug ship kick in its Astra boost. And it starts shooting forward towards you. Once again, passing probably within 40 feet this time. And all of a sudden, you hear the Peacock say, what the? Oh, shit! And then you hear blaster fire. Sorry, not blaster fire. Gunfire. And then it goes quiet.
Kit, can you tell us what is going on down there in engineering?
We got scanned. They're going to board us.
Engineering. Yeah, there's a life form that is, well, its life signs are very quickly fading. And I detect 4 additional life forms on board, other than the 3 of you.
What about their ship?
They're very quickly making their way towards the gunning positions. What did you say, Mike? Sorry.
What about their ship? Is there still life forms on their ship?
Yes. It was a quick scan, but as far as I could tell, there were still 2 on board.
I want to go to the end of the hall, like facing down. They had to go down kind of a corridor before they got to the guns, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I want to stand right near the opening to the cockpit, looking down the corridor with the readied action, with my pistol pointing down the corridor.
Okay. I'm assuming you're readying it for any hostiles.
Correct.
That appear just going to open fire. Okay, sounds good. The other 2.
How wide is the hallway that from them to get to where we are?
It's pretty narrow. I would say at the most 5 feet.
Can I particle wall, but vertical instead of horizontal?
Yeah, sure. I think basically as long as you can attach it kind of on one side, it should be good.
Because I can make it, if I boost it, I can make it 5 feet tall. So it could be 5 feet wide. So I want to boost for that, and I want to boost that way our projectiles can go through from our side, but not their side.
And you're placing this kind of on the between gunning and engineering, essentially segmenting the ship where the three of you will be on one side.
Exactly. And I'm gonna get out of my gun to do that, and
Yeah, you'll have to.
wrap myself around a corner.
Okay, and yeah, just about the time that that Calvin kind of conjures this green wall of like light, that because of his ability to manipulate it, he's able to actually make it fill the entire hallway.
And that puts me at an Astra Fade limit of 5 out of 4, so I'm over my limit.
Okay, so go ahead and make your roll for me.
I guess it's tier 1.
Yeah, you're only 1 point over.
So with advantage, I roll a 1, and I maintain control of my Astra, and nothing unforeseen happens.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you're able to kind of subdue any adverse effects that may have potentially cropped up from your usage of your Astra. And just as you finish kind of manipulating the shape of this particle wall, you see through it at the end of the hallway, the door to engineering opens, and these scrugs step out. One of them immediately levels a worn scattergun in your direction and opens fire. But the pellets ricochet off of the particle wall that you've summoned, just leaving little ripples of green energy from where each one of them has made impact with the nearly invisible wall.
Can I shoot him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I swear to you, I'm not joking.
Fantastic. Keep that one around.
Well, actually, that was the other one. When I rolled with advantage, I took 2 of them out. That's the other one. So not 20 on that one.
Excellent. Okay. And these first couple of scrugs that you're going to see are actually minions. So they only have 1 hit point. But tell me how it looks as you take your readied shot through this particle wall and manage to kill the leader, or well, the lead one.
I imagine that this is the one that kind of lowered his little scattergun at us, and as the pellets hit and kind of ricochet, and he's like, "What the hell?" He sees a bullet come through, and as it goes through the particle wall, it actually slows down to the point where he can actually see the bullet. And as it clears the green Astra of the particle wall, he can actually see it go right between his eyes, and just, and he falls back.
Absolutely. And 2 more kind of standing in the doorway behind him kind of stare down in shock as their counterpart goes down. And they kind of look back up at you, and they're going to start moving their way down the hallway rapidly. Sparks, what you doing?
Fuck! Scrug's on board! I want to run to the end of the hallway where Xander is and place my spheroid.
Your sentry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sentry
Excellent.
spheroid, sorry, yeah.
No, you're good. Yeah. Okay. Sure. You going to put it up on the wall? Is it float in the air? You attach it to the ground?
So this one, since it's the fancy one that I got to make, it is floating, and it's kind of just, very sleek.
Yeah.
White. Shoots.
Okay. And does it activate right away?
No, it shoots at the beginning of my turn.
Okay. So yeah, you roll out and kind of, press some buttons and hit some switches and stuff to activate this thing, and then just kind of let it go. And it takes flight and gets into position kind of near the ceiling is kind of what I'm picturing, so that's at least somewhat out of the way for the rest of you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Yeah, okay. And Calvin, back to you.
The bigger of the two guys, actually the smaller of the two guys, strugs that are coming, I want to astral adhese his boots to the floor to prevent him from being able to walk through the particle wall. He can make an athletics check at a DC of 15 to try to pry his boots and the floor apart. But I want to try to keep him on the other side of the wall as long as I can. It doesn't cost me any fade to cast that spell because I have augmented Astra, or excuse me, spell mastery, astral adhesion. So do I still roll on my fade list? Even
No,
though
I don't think so. I think just whenever the fade, your
increases?
fade actually changes.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, you adhere his boots to the floor, and you can see this yellow Astra energy kind of almost mimic kind of the pattern of the floor, this kind of cross-hatched metal, as it kind of almost looks like it turns liquid and reaches up and grabs a hold of kind of the sides of his heavy boots. And he definitely does kind of hold up for a moment and kind of looks down. But you notice his very thick, like tree trunk like legs, he just pulls the boots right up off the floor. His steps definitely take a little more measure to make forward progress. So he's going to fall behind the other scrub, but he is definitely still making forward progress. Sander.
I think I want to take another shot.
Absolutely.
So, see here. Oop. It's only a 7. That one is not going to hit.
No, it will not. That will miss, and by quite a bit. So it's not even necessarily because of their armor this time.
Imagine that it just kind of goes through the wall and kind of ricochets, just pew, 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 off the hallway.
Absolutely. And they continue forward. And, you know, one of the other ones levels his scattergun and tries another shot, but again, to no avail. And they start yelling at each other in whatever the fuck you call it, scruggies or whatever. And they, you see a fourth scrug appear behind him in the doorway. And he's been taking cover just outside the doorway. And he's yelling to them. And they kind of look to one another and then look back at him. And then they switch from their scatterguns to great axes. They move to the walls where your particle wall meets the interior of this corridor. And they start hacking at the panels of the corridor. Sparks, you're up.
Shit. Well, first, my sentry is going to take a shot at these guys. And so it gets an extra D4 damage. Is that what I saw? Going through the particle wall?
Yes, I believe that is correct.
Correct.
Okay. 13.
That is exactly what you need to hit.
All right.
So you managed to tag him. Your sentry bot managed to tag him.
And so are these, it's 6 damage, but are they 1 hit point each?
They sure are. Yep. Yeah, these are still minions.
Okay.
Essentially, these two are still minions. The guy that's actually held up in the doorway of the engineering compartment is not a minion.
Okay, cool. So, yep, it took out a minion, and then while my sentry is firing at this minion, I want to try to get to nearby control panel to see if I can close that door to engineering and isolate him from his minions.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. So you have a tech skill, is that correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So let's give a tech roll. And because you guys have kind of been given clearance of stuff for this ship, you can have advantage on this roll.
Cool. 18.
That'll be more than enough. Even with it being somewhat difficult to figure out how to do very quickly, your sparks. You know how to do it. So you navigate the system like you've done it before. And yeah, sure enough, within just mere moments, you hear that door and see it just go and shut. So there's only one more scrug that any of you can see that's still standing. And I believe that brings us to Calvin's turn.
For the first time any of you have ever seen, Calvin starts manipulating red Astra, and he is going to take cover at the wall and shoot out an Astra bolt at this scrub. For a 24 to hit.
Yeah, barely. Yes, you absolutely hit him. Go ahead and tell me what it looks like as this magenta-colored Astra bolt kills the scrug.
Yeah, so this magenta goes out and meets together with the particle wall, kind of changing the hue of the color. And it hits him square in the chest and just puts a hole through him. And he ends up, his hands slide off of his axe as he falls to the ground, and the axe just kind of floats there next to the wall.
Absolutely. Take yourself a point of inspiration for that. So the hallway, as of now, is clear. You know that it may be a while before this scrug manages to figure out the door panel. But there is definitely a scrug behind it. And you think that that the peacock is probably still in the room with him.
Kit, how are the life signs of the life form that is not a scrug?
He says, it's faint, nearly gone. I don't think he's going to survive.
Do you have any way to distract this scrug in engineering? Can you shut the lights off? What can you do for us?
Lights have been shut off, just as you have asked.
Okay. Calvin, can you put that wall up right outside of engineering?
Calvin is going to activate the power gloves that he's wearing. And spending on a point of inspiration, I'm going to just move the current wall that I have into place in front of the door of engineering.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you have the gloves that allow you to manipulate a spell that's already existing. Isn't that with their power?
Yeah, I can boost things that have already been cast and whatnot.
Yeah. So. Perfect. Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't think I can necessarily move it, but
you absolutely do, and it looks awesome.
So when he does that, I would see that and I would say, Sparks, open the door. And all time I'd have my pistol ready to shoot through it.
Righto. Do you want me to roll or does it open?
No, you can do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Open the door.
So Sparks undoes what he just did. And the doors slide open just on the other side of where Calvin has placed the particle wall that he's kind of slid down the hallway. The green glow of the particle wall barely permeates the now dark engine room. And you think that you can see a pair of boots barely kind of sticking into the slight glow. But that's it.
Here, Scruggy. Well, shit. Kit, turn the lights back on.
There's a momentary pause, and then Kit flickers on. And he says, I can't. They've been disabled from inside the room.
Sparks, can you override it? Technology check, something.
Let me see. 25.
Yeah, Sparks, you definitely have this thing on lockdown. However, you realize that you get an error message that is indicating hardware malfunction. Your guess is, the little bit that you may know about Scruggs, that this was probably not done with technical finesse.
They've cut the line. The controls won't do anything.
How far do we see in, Jeremy?
Probably not any more than 5 feet. The
Am I
wall barely glows.
Calvin, can you use those gloves and push this wall forward? Can we use it as a shield?
I can certainly try. Don't want to overload them, but and then he'll try to start pushing it further deeper into the room.
Yeah, you will definitely be able to push it deeper into the room, but it will remain the same size that it was when you summoned it into the hallway. So it's basically kind of this almost hexagonal, like 5 foot on a side shield out in front of you. So who's stepping into the room behind this particle wall shield?
Me.
And I'd like to ready an action behind Xander.
What action are you ready?
I want to shoot an astral bolt, but specifically boosted to outline the target. That way they can see him better whenever I have the opportunity.
Excellent. Okay. So, Xander, you stalk into the room by the soft green glow of Calvin's particle wall as it kind of floats out in front of you as he kind of moves it forward with these gloves of Tindo. And all of a sudden, you hear half a footstep, that heavy plod of heavy boot on mesh. And you have just enough time to kind of turn about and see a great axe coming down towards you. So, Calvin, you had readied an action to try to tag this individual. Xander, you had as well. So what I would like from both of you, because this happened very suddenly, is dexterity saving throws to see if you're going to be able to get your attacks off before he does.
6.
4. Even worse.
Okay, so unfortunately, both of you are just a little too slow, as he had also readied an action, leaps out from cover, and brings his great axe down towards Xander. Xander, what is your armor class?
15. Actually, wait, with the helmet on, 16. And I also have 60 feet of dark vision. I don't know if that would have helped me here.
I'll give you advantage on the dexterity saving throw. So you can roll a second
Okay,
one.
let me try.
Better.
Let me try one more time. That one was a 19.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. So you managed to get your shot off before this great axe comes down on you.
Okay.
The wall only does from projectiles, so he won't get cover from the melee, I don't believe.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not. I'm gonna. I'm not doing it, dude. I love this.
Hot hands.
That's 3.
Taking you to Vegas.
Yeah. No, we need to take this die to Vegas. Is what it is. So yeah, that was a crit, man.
Yeah, it will absolutely connect. You will not get the additional D4 from the shield wall because he's coming in from the side.
Okay. And that's going to be 7 piercing damage.
Excellent. Yeah,
And
he takes that, and it kind of staggers him back a bit. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and as he comes down, I barely, get out of the way as I see through this helmet. But I imagine as he comes down, I just line up the pistol and just kind of shoot him in the shoulder. I don't get him really well, but it just kind of knocks him for a step back.
Yeah, absolutely. He kind of stops his forward progress for a moment, and then he kind of recovers and comes up and swings this great axe around in a different attack. Where he was coming from overhead before, he now kind of turns into a spinning maneuver and brings it crosswise at you. And what was your AC again? 16 with the helmet? Yes, he did hit you. So he is a rather large scrug. Again, I don't know if you've had any dealings with scrugs or not, but he bears the markings of a chieftain.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to take 13 points of slashing damage, an additional 4 points as his fury pushes this axe even deeper than a normal scrug would be able to do.
Okay.
So now we have the ability to have Calvin, you're ready to action. Go
on. So that magenta Astra forms again, and he boosts it brighter this time, and shoots it off at a 23.
And that absolutely makes contact with him pretty squarely in the back as he just swung this axe down on Xander.
So it's a 0. I'm going to boost it twice. So I'm going to go up to Fate of 7. And it's going to deal 9 points. And it's going to outline his form, so the next person to attack him has advantage on that roll.
Fantastic. Okay, so yeah, as this magenta bolt kind of splashes right into his back, he almost falls into Xander. Both the momentum of his swing and the impact of this magenta Astra slamming into his back, almost carrying him forward. And that brings us to Sparks' turn.
Fuck, Xander. I'm going to run over to him and use one of my healing spheroids. But this is going to be just flavored as like an aerosol can of like foam that I'm going to just spray across his axe slash. And you are healed for 11.
Very nice. Thank you.
But yeah, as this little spheroid kind of zips through, and as it passes by, kind of leaves this spray foam, the wound immediately starts to knit itself closed, kind of reforming, with the cellular growth being reinvigorated by the Astra of the spheroid. And that brings us to Xander's turn.
Same thing. He's only got 1 bullet left in this pistol right now. How close am I to this thing?
You're engaged with melee at the moment.
And how far away is this? How high is the ceiling here?
It's not very high. I would say at the most 10 feet.
Okay. I would like to put my pistol away, and I would like to just kind of make a motion with my hands where you see the yellow Astra jumping from fingertip to fingertip, and point up. And I want belt or something on his pants to be astrally adhered to the ceiling, and just have him hang there.
Excellent. Okay. And it is a strength save. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then what is your DC?
On that one, it's going to be 15.
He barely passes with a 16 because of his strength.
So I would imagine that even though he didn't get stuck, whatever piece of clothing is now stuck to the ceiling, he just isn't in it, or at least a chunk is ripped out.
Yeah, it actually just like pulls the belt straight out of his pants, and it just kind of up to the ceiling and just kind of hangs there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that brings it back to his turn. So, Philip, did you do anything with your sentry this round?
I was going to ask, actually, if my sentry was within 30 feet from him. Can it see him?
Are you able to move those?
It's flying.
So it's a bonus action to, like, reset the coordinates, I'll say. So
Okay, yeah.
I chose to use my healing drone instead. So that was a bonus action.
Okay, but you didn't take an
Yeah.
action this round, did you?
Did not take an action.
Okay, so you could have used your action to move it forward instead if you wished.
Sweet, that's exactly what I would like to do.
Okay, so what we'll say is it's just now arriving into position. It's kind of, making that little Star Wars, noises. It's kind of floating
Exactly.
forward.
Perfect.
Okay, so yeah, it does bring us back around to the chief, who has kind of looked up now that his belt is missing, and kind of growls, and the third eye on his forehead kind of starts to glow a little red. He tightens his grip on his great axe. He steps forward to take 2 swings at Xander. The first one narrowly missing because of the extra armor provided to him by the helmet of the dreaded judge. Second attack, however, not so lucky. It does bypass his defenses and manages to connect. However, this time he only takes 7 points of damage from the slash. He wasn't able to connect nearly as well that time. And that leads us to Calvin's turn. Oh no, I'm sorry. It is Xander's turn.
Well, with this one, I think I'm going to I'm gonna pull out the pistol again. I'm assuming I'm very close to him again.
Absolutely.
And I am going to utilize the once per rest ability for this helmet, and I'm gonna say something like I'll point it at the scrug, and I'll say something like "Hasta la vista, baby," and shoot him with advantage. That is a 1 and a 1. With advantage, I rolled 2 1s.
That's
So what happened?
All those 20s.
What happened? What does that look like?
That looks like I shot this guy square in the chest, at point blank range, and there was something. Maybe he was wearing some type of armor or something like that, but it ricocheted, and it actually came back at me and lodged itself in my chest for 3 points of piercing damage. Because When you roll 2 1s, it's got to be bad. So I'm now bleeding from my own bullet. I am out of bullets, and not feeling too good. So guys, help me out. Payback for all the 20s, I guess.
God, man, yeah. She giveth and she taketh away. Okay, so yeah, the Scrug Chief kind of looks down at that and kind of seems surprised that the bullet didn't hurt him, and then realizes where the bullet ended up. And you've probably never heard a Scrug laugh before, but you think whatever noise it is that he's making, it is kind of similar to a laugh. That brings us to Calvin.
Calvin wants to astral adhesion the axe itself instead of him. He wants to put that against the wall. And his athletics check will be a 15. And while casting that, he phases out of the visual spectrum and becomes invisible until the end of my next turn.
He does, or you do?
I do, until the start of my next turn with the Astra Fade.
Okay. So, the yellow Astra, this kind of neon chartreuse, kind of envelops his axe, and it begins to float up towards the ceiling rather forcefully. However, again, this guy is big, and you see the muscles tense up in his arms. You can even see it underneath the chainmail shirt that he's wearing, kind of tense, and he just pulls this back down, and the yellow Astra kind of tears apart, almost like thin fabric.
I then want to move around behind him.
Okay, so you're going to pass into the room,
Yeah.
into the engineering bay, and then kind of skirt the outside of it. And right now you're outside of the visible spectrum, right?
Yeah, with the fade table.
Okay. Interesting. Very cool. So you, Xander, probably see Calvin somehow through the green shield. You're able to kind of see the outline of Calvin as he kind of ducks around and out of sight behind some equipment. The Scrug doesn't seem to have seen him at all.
How okay, in this room in front of me, am I to, like, say, if we were looking towards the cockpit from where we are, would I be like in this room? How do I explain it? What I want to do, if you'll allow it, I want to tell Kit to bank hard left or right. And maybe if there's any type of like artificial gravity or something like that, maybe it'll make us fall. If he doesn't, I don't know if that'll work. But I want to try to ask Kit to bank hard to the right and pull out the small dagger that I have at my belt and lunge at him like a split second before that goes, to try to have him pinned against the wall and then put the dagger like somewhere in his throat or his chest or something. But I would ask Kit to bank hard.
Okay, and just before we handle that, it is actually Sparks. You're up.
Oh, sorry.
So no, you're good. You're good. So Sparks, just before Xander springs this attack and has Kit do his maneuver, what is it that you're going to have Sparks do?
So having moved the sentry over there, first the sentry's going to take a shot at him for 24.
Absolutely.
Sweet. 8 damage. And then I will also get out my handgun and try to shoot him as well. As I want to run up to the doorway and be and like get in the hallway part of the doorway and like try to like lean in and shoot him if I can see him, using the door as like kind of cover.
Yeah, absolutely. So you managed to put yourself into a place where you feel a little bit safe still, and you can still see him because as of right now, he's closed with Xander, who is still standing right beside the green particle wall. So it's giving off just enough light that you can kind of make out his shape.
Perfect. And I shoot him and it's a 14 to hit, so I don't think I hit.
No, that will actually glance off of his armor. It's kind of made out of this futuristic-looking chain.
Okay, sweet.
All right, so, Xander, wielding your blade and getting ready for Kit to make this maneuver. Are you actually making an attack with your blade, or are you just kind of readying it up against him?
No, I would probably try to attack as this is all going down, as the banking. Again, I don't know about artificial gravity or whatever, but
sure.
I want to kind of lunge at him. Okay.
So here's what I want from all three of you guys. Go ahead and give me dexterity saving throws. And you, gentlemen, being in on the secret, will have advantage. He's going to make one, but he will be at disadvantage. Is that with advantage, Mike? Fantastic. All right. So describe to me why it is that Calvin was caught off guard by this.
He was trying to sneak into a position back behind this scrug, and there was some cargo that was strapped down with like a webbing, and he ended up getting his foot caught up in that webbing. So whenever he went to go brace himself, he couldn't get his foot there. So he tried to adhesion it to the ground, but he just didn't have time.
So I almost think that through this banking, you might actually be hanging from this webbing by your foot, like almost completely upside down as it banks really hard to the opposite direction.
Absolutely.
And Sparks, tell me how it is that you almost managed to stabilize yourself and doesn't work out in the long run.
Yeah, so I'm right by the door, and as it's banking, I like kind of put one hand on the door because my other hand has the pistol, and then it's just banks a little too far, and I slip and boom, slam into the other side.
Absolutely. And you're actually pretty good as far as your recovery goes, because once it kind of stabilizes itself again, you're able to get your feet back under you before too much longer. The Scrug chieftain, however, rolled a 1 with his disadvantage. So he absolutely is caught completely and entirely off guard and sails across the room, or down, depending on how you look at it, and slams into the wall. And somebody roll me a d6. 2.
3.
Let's see. 2. Okay. 3. 3 is a little bit better than 2, so we'll take the 3. He takes 3 points of bludgeoning damage as he slams into the wall of the engineering bay. And Xander, as you're coming at this guy, kind of expecting this bank, you more or less just kind of free fall across the room at him. So go ahead and take your attack with advantage.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I'm not doing that on purpose, guys.
I wish.
I'm really not. Yeah. So yeah. He has a dagger. That's only 1d4 though. So.
Well, it would normally only be a d4, but you're also going to get to add a d6 because of the momentum that you have carrying into this guy.
And then do I double it?
Add everything together and then double it at the end.
That's going to be 16 points of piercing damage as I fall on him, and I'm imagining right here in his throat. He may not kill him, but I bury this dagger as deep as I can in his throat.
Absolutely. And yeah, you just plunge this thing straight into his throat, and you know this would kill a human. Absolutely, positively would have ended a life had this not been a scrug. You're not quite as familiar with scrug anatomy. And it definitely seems like, even though this is a grievous injury, he's definitely still alive. He kind of puts his hand against the wall and pushes himself off, kind of throwing you back a half step away from him. There's just black ichor just kind of cascading out of this wound in his throat. And the gravity in the ship still kind of wonky, so it's half kind of floating and half actually dripping. He reaches down to his hip and actually unholsters a revolver, levels it at you, and fires twice. The first one going wild and piercing a hose in the engineering department, so there's now this like leak of white gas shooting forth. The second of which, however, is a 17. It manages to bypass your defenses.
Okay.
And this one is going to deal 9 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
I think that brings us to Xander's turn.
Didn't I just go with the...
You sure did. Thank you. Yep. So that is Calvin's turn.
Having seen Magenta Astra from his third eye, he wants to try to manipulate the Astra that's within this this skeg to have that be the origin of his Astra Bolt, if he can.
Absolutely.
And he wants to just have that project out through the eye. However you want me to do that. Activating my gloves of the Nintendo, obviously.
Okay, so let's see.
So whatever his effect is, I want to manipulate his effect with my power violence.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So instead of trying to use it as an actual Astra Bolt,
yeah, I just changed my mind on that.
You're going to try to use whatever it is that he's channeling and try
against
to copy
himself.
it
Correct.
effectively. Okay, yeah, man, I like that. That's really cool. Okay, so you actually extract this Magenta Astra kind of out of his eye. It kind of pours out in this, straight from this third eye of his, and kind of floats through the space between you two, and you're able to more or less kind of collect it into your hand. So what this is going to do temporarily is that you have an ability called Fury.
Okay.
With any weapon attacks, you deal an additional 1d8 points of damage.
So whenever he went flying, obviously he let go of his axe, right? So I would like to grab shift his axe over to me, and then I want to charge him and attack if I can.
Okay, well, you did an Astra Bolt this round. Is that an action?
The taking it?
Yeah.
It will count as an Astra Bolt? Okay. Then yes, that is a spell.
Okay, and then grab shift is...
That's also a spell, so...
Okay, so you can start moving in that direction, and then at the beginning of your turn, you can grab shift it to you, and then I'm okay with you making an attack as a bonus action.
Cool.
And that brings us to Sparks.
And taking that from him, does Astra fade at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
How much?
Just a single point.
This scrub needs to fucking die. My sentry will go ahead and fire at him. For 15. Nope.
No. Just barely is going to glance off of his armor.
So that barely glances off of his armor. That kind of like happens in the background. I'm going to look over at Xander and be like, "Geez, you're high maintenance." Toss another like support spheroid over at him. And that is for 12 hit points. And then since I have my pistol out already, I'll kind of like walk closer to the scrug, just like firing at it, trying to just like put it down. 22.
I will absolutely make contact.
9 damage.
Excellent. Yeah, he's just taking hit after hit from all kinds, just from every direction. And he's kind of staggering a bit, and he kind of reaches out towards his axe and realizes that it's out of reach. And that third eye, the one in his forehead that had Astra pulled from it, is shut tight, almost wincing. But his other 2 eyes are still fixed on Xander. And he levels that pistol at him again, that revolver, and he's going to take 2 more shots. You lucky bastard. Both of them missed you within 2 points. And these bullets ricocheting off of whatever armor that Xander's wearing. And he curses, or you're guessing it's a curse, in, again, Scruggies or whatever language it is that their twisted mouths speak. And he looks almost like he's giving up. He definitely doesn't surrender. He doesn't put up his arms or anything like that. You can just see the fight kind of starting to go from his posture. He's definitely weakening. Probably not only physically, but also in spirit. That brings us to Xander's turn.
What is the name? And Mike, you might be able to help me, of the spell, because I'm not looking in front of it. It's like a lasso. It's like a whip. It's a yellow Astra spell. I'm sorry, guys, I don't have my paperwork with me.
Tendril or something.
I just looked at that the other day. I think it's. I think you're right, Philip.
I think it's like astral tendril or something like that.
I think it's effectively a thorn whip.
Energy tendril. You lash out a whip of lightning.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I want to do. What's the? Can you give me the spell?
I'm getting to it. Yeah. You lash out a tendril of yellow astro, grabbing the creature and pulling them towards you. Choose a creature within 30 feet. The creature must succeed a dexterity saving throw or be pulled 15 feet closer to you. If the target is a willing ally, they can automatically choose to fail and be pulled 15 feet. It's a bonus action.
And can I? What are the Astra pluses to it? Can I?
You can boost it for an additional 15 feet. You can boost it to have 2 targets, or you can have it gain the grappled condition.
That's what I want to do. I want to do the final one for the grapple condition.
Spell DC as your spell DC.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
And your spell DC was a
15.
15? Okay, yeah, he did fail. Not by very much, but again, it kind of seems like some of the fight is gone out of him. As you whip this yellow Astra lash out at him, and it wraps around him almost like a web of lightning. that kind of binds him and holds his hands and his arms kind of up against his body. So it seems at the moment that he's at your mercy.
Yeah, I'm just holding him there, not doing anything else, and of course yelling to Kit to put us right side up.
Yes, sir. Right away. I'll take care of that. And the ship kind of evens back out again.
Okay.
All right. So, effectively, you guys are out of combat. So what are you doing with this scrub chieftain?
Besides teabagging the son of a bitch. Sorry. Whatever they want to do, I'm just holding them right now.
Let's launch this scum.
That sounds good to me.
Launch him where exactly?
Throw him out the airlock.
That star looks good.
Maybe we should see what he's doing here, ask him some questions, search him. Maybe we could find out some information before we throw him out of the airlock. Just a thought.
Filled with this rage that I still possess, I'm going to kind of a little bit of magenta froth at the mouth. Just crush him.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Stand down.
He's going to wildly throw the axe just off to the side and being pissed off. He'll storm away. But he can't because his foot is still caught in the webbing.
And I think Xander would just just kind of glare at him and just kind of shake his head and just be like, look, we just need to get some information. We don't know what's going on out here. Maybe he does. Maybe he could give us some.
Do you speak Scrug? I mean, I knew that you looked like one, but I didn't know that you could talk like one.
I bet the fucking computer does.
Yeah, I bet the computer does. As a matter of fact, Sparks, why don't you go play with the computer and tell it what to do? Because you're pissing me off. That's an order.
Fine. I'll kind of just go like march off, look for some food.
No, I told you to talk to Kit. Get Kit to talk to the scrub. March off.
I figured you could
talk to the computer. It's what you do. It's what you're here for. Make yourself fucking useful.
The human-computer interface. Roger that, sir. Kit, do you have any Scrug language modules installed?
Of course I do. Would you like to use it yourself?
Activity 1, how to speak Scrug.
Repeat
Where
after
is
me.
The bathroom?
Nah, just translate for us. Translate what he says for us and translate what we want to say to him.
Very well. Whenever you would like to begin, I'm ready.
What are you here for? Why did you attack us?
It translates into a horrible sounding, something like a animal growling. The scrub kind of looks around for a moment and kind of says something equally disgusting and guttural in return. And Kit translates, they came for the ship and anything of value upon it, apparently, including me.
Do you know anything about this fade?
Again, the translation happens back and forth. No, he doesn't seem to understand what we're talking about. He knows of Astra fade, but not of fade in the context that you're using it.
My crewmates want to throw you outside the airlock. Why should we keep you alive? What can you offer?
He says that he wishes to die a valiant death, with a weapon in his hand and your blood upon his face.
I got nothing. Sparks.
He's a scrug, man. He doesn't know anything about this. I say we just toss him out. Maybe he was hired as security. Maybe he's just doing what scrugs do.
All right. That's fine. But you and me, we don't do it. He needs to. Pointing over at Calvin. Think it's about time this boy gets his hands dirty too.
Does Calvin still have this rage?
No, because it's not an inherent ability of yours, I think that your body probably kind of returns to balance. The Astra within you kind of cancels it out. So it's very quickly fading from you.
So he's going to have a little bit of harder time holding this axe, but he's going to try to use it to cut his foot free from that webbing. And he's going to walk over to the Scrag and grant his wish. He's going to give him his weapon back. And then point, I guess, to the airlock.
Yeah, he has kind of a hard time taking it as his hands are kind of bound up to his body, but he definitely takes it and grabs onto it, almost like it's a crutch. You point to the airlock, and he kind of follows where you've pointed. And then he looks down at the yellow Astra webbing that's still wrapped around his body.
I take it off, and I step back.
And I'm going to grab shift to kind of start pushing him. It can only manipulate 30 pounds. So just like 30 pounds of pressure kind of on his back.
Okay. You do so as Xander retracts this yellow Astra, the webbing kind of coming apart from him and falling away. He turns, even though he's kind of pushed back a bit, rocked back on his heels. He brandishes the axe once more.
He's then going to take. I'm going to take my hand and rub it on Xander's chest, and I'm going to go smear blood on his face and hit the airlock button to seal the door, and then jettison him into space.
Okay.
Ow.
So you smear Xander's blood on this Scrug's face and push with your Astra a little more, and he kind of slides back, his boots kind of scraping along the metal mesh floor as he passes the frame of the door to the airlock, and you hit the airlock jettison. Moments before the door between engineering and the airlock slams shut, the exterior airlock door opens first. So the three of you are pulled 20 feet closer to the airlock door as the atmosphere and gravity and everything else for the moment go haywire. And just at the last moment, the door between engineering and the airlock slams shut, and the three of you collapse onto the ground as everything kicks back in and the atmosphere returns to the engineering bay. And that is where we're going to take our break. So, do about a 10-minute break, and we will hit it back when we get to it. So, if you're listening or watching along, thank you very much for tuning in. Just stay right here, and we will be right back. After these messages, we'll be Okay.
Yeah, I accidentally hung up instead of turning my camera off because I'm awesome.
I got new dice, so we'll hopefully be a little bit more balanced this half.
So I totally hung up instead of turning my camera off when we went on break.
You need more practice.
I saw that somebody said something. I heard somebody talking, but the headphones being plugged in kept me from actually hearing what it was said. So.
Yeah, that was me. I was saying I was special.
For hanging up?
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
You know, Jeremy, the wig needs to be used for something else at some point.
It already has.
Oh, has it?
No, I was just alluding to a sexual thing.
Oh, I wasn't going there, but sure, why not?
One should always go there.
Says the guy who doesn't have a Facebook and a phone from 10 years ago.
No.
Maybe you don't need to always go. By the way, is that a Kit Kat? Because I'm jealous.
It is a Kit Kat.
You're a
Oh,
dick.
snap.
I have another one. You want it?
I do, but I can't have it. So, yeah, you're a jerk. Yeah.
I'm sure the wig at some point will see some more usage. Halloween is, just a few months away, so I
Yeah,
might
but
end up using it.
Halloween in Houston is still 100 degrees, so not
Oh,
conducive
yeah.
for wig
And
wearing.
the mosquitoes are horrible.
I usually still manage to put on some kind of costume.
Oh, Jeremy, that room escape is out of business. The one that we had.
Yeah, that's what you guys were saying.
Yeah, I don't remember if
Friday.
we actually told people or.
Yeah, it sucks.
That was very bright paper.
Black lights. It looks awesome. Just like white paper, nothing special about it at all. But
It's hurting my baby blues.
Michael Bay presents.
I think we're all back.
Cool.
We still got 3 minutes. All those people that are sitting there diligently waiting for us to get back to the game. 3 more minutes, guys. Calm down. I'm just joking.
Okay. So, you guys are able to kind of take stock of the situation after a moment, whenever you're able to start recovering. And you realize that this device that had punctured its way through the hull in engineering and attached itself to the wall was some kind of visual scanner that relies on yellow Astra. And effectively, piecing it together, you are able to tell that they fly close and shoot this through the hull of a ship, which then attaches itself and activates, scanning the area and allowing the Scrugs on subsequent flybys to use the Void Slip spell to jump from their ship into the ship that they're attempting to board. This is something that you may have even heard stories about before. It's not an unusual Scrug tactic.
So Sparks, with Xander having the ability to do that, do you think you could repurpose it so we could do the same in a pinch?
I can try my best, and I certainly think so.
Yeah, so go ahead and work out that roll, and we'll see how salvageable it is.
Before I do that, how important do you guys think this is? Not okay. All right.
I don't use your guaranteed win.
Yeah, I won't. 22.
Yeah, absolutely. You find out kind of once you get inside that it's really not that difficult to unattach it from the wall and basically kind of unscrug it if you will, take out some of the chance for malfunction and, some of the grime, clean it up a bit, you think that it's actually going to probably work pretty well.
Shit, I've seen worse than this. We can work with this. All right.
Is that part made of bone?
That's the sign of a good engineer right there, man. Use what's available to you.
I guess.
All right. So, unfortunately, you discover that the peacock has passed away. That he had sustained several injuries from great axe slashes, scattergun shots, and he has, in fact, expired. So it leaves the three of you and Kit, if you feel like counting him, on board the Hoff 2000 as you continue onwards on autopilot for the time being, jetting towards this asteroid where these Astra gates supposedly await. Before you guys get to the point where you reach this asteroid and start making your landing, is there anything that you want to do in the interim?
Short rest? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be enough time for that because the whole flight was about an hour.
Oh, that's true.
Unless you want to try to delay landing for that long.
Okay.
I would probably like to go back up to the pilot's thing and just get all strapped in.
Is there a med bay on the ship?
Absolutely. It's very small and pretty sparse, but it has better things in it that are probably better than a lot of the places that you've had to have first aid before.
Because Xander's still pretty bad off, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's down below half.
And I didn't realize till after, so I wasn't able to describe it, but I took astrophae damage as well.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
No, but I say I don't think Xander would really care right now about his injuries. He wouldn't go to the medical bay or anything like that. He would just try to take control of the ship and get us to where we need to be. He wouldn't worry about his wounds right now.
Do you guys think that they're looking for Peacock on entry?
Didn't he say he had never been here before? Didn't he say? I mean, I could have sworn he said that. So I think we're just gonna have to depend on that damn computer.
All right. I hate relying on computers.
Isn't that your thing?
I know how finicky they can be.
Well, make sure this one gets us through.
I will try not to take any offense.
You do that.
Oh, no, you probably should. It's coming from Xander.
Noted for future interactions.
Yeah, I just want to, ask Kit, do we know where we're going? We need to get to these Astra gates. How far are we away? Just trying to get as much information as I can.
We are rapidly approaching and will be at your destination in less than 3 minutes. So if there's nothing else that the three of you wish to do, go ahead.
Do you know what the docking procedure, landing procedure, what we need to do to get us through? Were you pre-programmed with that?
My scans tell me that there is not any life forms currently on this asteroid. It seems to be automated.
Groovy. Okay.
Before we leave, let me see whatever you're working with for armor. I think I can I found a box back here, and there are a few things I can add to it and help you out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and give you a +1 AC to your armor for 24 hours. That'll only take a few hits, but it should help.
Cool. Jeremy, that puts my AC up to 17.
Just about the time that Sparks finishes making these modifications to Xander's armor, you kind of come around one of the larger asteroids, and you're able to see the one out in front of you that's not quite as big as this one that you've just rounded. But in the distance, you're able to see that it has structures built upon it. And you can see large machines kind of moving about. But the biggest thing, as you kind of approach, more or less kind of entering atmosphere, if you will, the structures that are built here are these incredibly large rings, larger than, well, at least any other circle that you've ever seen before, but rivaling probably even the largest buildings that you've ever seen. These things are incredibly enormous. And they are built almost into the rock of this asteroid. But they're definitely not organic. They are made of metal and moving parts. Parts of them seem to be powered by Astra. And there are 4 of them. And each one of them seems to give off a slight hint of a different color of Astra. One magenta, one more of an electric blue, one a neon yellow, and the 4th kind of a lime green color. The inside of the ring of each of them just barely glowing with their distinct color of Astra. You manage to find kind of an out-of-the-way landing pad that doesn't look like it's used as often. And between Xander and Kit, you manage to set down the Hoff 2000 as it just kind of settles into its landing gear. And you are now asteroid side. What do you wish to do?
Does this asteroid have any type of atmosphere or gravity?
Yes, to both. The gravity is a little bit lighter than you're used to, but not to the point where you'll float or fly or anything like that. Just a little spring in your step.
Do we have any suits, any type of Evo suits or anything like that on board?
There are several of them on board. It's certainly enough for the 3 of you.
And where would they be?
Near the airlock. There's kind of a dressing closet, if you will.
And one last thing, Kit. Do we have any weapons available? Is there any type of an armory here on the ship that we might be able to get some weapons?
Weapons, no. But there is some ammunition, if you would like to take some of that with you. He says, the scan that I have conducted shows that the weapon used by the Scrug chief was also potentially infused with Astra. His revolver, to be specific.
I would go grab that. If it's on the floor or something.
Yeah, it's kind of gotten pushed off to the side. but it's definitely still around. And it is a +1 revolver.
Okay. I would snag it and put it in the holster. And get on the suit and head out.
Yeah, Calvin's going to follow suit and suit up as well.
Sparks will do likewise.
You guys are suiting up, getting ready to leave, and you pass by a crate that has been dislodged now that its webbing has been cut free. And the rest of the crates definitely kind of match the aesthetic of this Hoff 2000 ship. But one of them definitely does not. It looks more akin to some of the crates that you saw back in Ezekiel's docking bay. And it looks like it had been kind of shoved into the netting with some of these other containers.
Yeah, so as Calvin is walking by, he trips up on that same crate again, kind of jostling into it, knocking the lid off. And what do the other two see?
And as he does so, and the contents kind of spill out onto the floor, there may be like a collective gasp as you realize that they are high-powered explosives. There seems to be 3 charges.
We've been shooting bullets just willy-nilly in here?
Apparently.
Wow.
Shit.
Yeah, we did that. We didn't blow anything else up. Let's not press our luck. What do we want to do with these things? Want to leave them here? We want to take them off?
Okay. What kind of boom are we looking at here?
These explosives were brought on board with the individual known as the Peacock. I'm not entirely sure what his intentions were, but he did mention something about destroying the Astra gates. Perhaps that's what his intention was.
There's 4 gates. There's 3 sets of explosives.
Yes, your math is absolutely correct.
Thanks.
I am here to assist.
But guys, what do you want to do? Do we want to place these? Do we want to, I mean, do we want to find out anything about this place, or do we just want to destroy it? Do we know enough? If this is where this shit comes from, do we know enough to just destroy it, or do we want to learn more?
We've got no proof that Callisto is behind this yet. But I definitely think we should take these rings out if they're producing, if they are what I think they are and they're producing the drugs. I mean, one of each color. Investigate further before we just go blowing something up.
We have that kind of time.
I don't think there's anyone here that will stop us.
Right now. Remember what he said, that this harvest was supposed to be fully automated? Well, what happens when it is done and they come to pick up their stuff and we're still here looking for clues?
Then boom.
Whatever they take is more people that are going to get addicted to this shit. More people that are going to die. Do we really want to risk that to see who's to blame? Is it really that fucking important who's responsible? Or is it more important to just destroy it so that it won't happen again?
Yeah, let's blow this shit up.
What about you, Sparks? You down?
I'm not one to advocate for the justice system, but I hate to see people get by without atoning for their crimes. Blowing it up is just going to stop them from producing here. They'll just build it and produce on some other asteroid. We need to bring in those who are responsible. And especially if it's the son of the Sept, I fucking hate.
So you're looking to win the war. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to win the war against a Sept with 3 people. 3 disavowed Chrome City PD people. That's noble. As dumb as shit, but that's noble. Doesn't make any sense to me.
The justice system will be able to hopefully punish him. I don't know.
We have a unique opportunity here. All of us have always, I'm sure, have sat back and watched criminals go free to hurt people again. And it's because of that system that you're talking about. We have an opportunity to be judge, jury, and executioner here. We can make a difference. If these aren't here, sure, they might be produced somewhere else, but nobody talked about another location. Who knows who created this? At the very least, we stop it for now. And maybe if they got to build another one, maybe they slip up. And maybe we catch them then. But personally, I want to win this battle. I'm sick of fucking losing.
If they're going to come here, let's just wait for them to come here. Place some explosives underneath the landing pad. As soon as they land, boom. Then we've got no more problem with them. We can go and tell someone else about these Astra gates.
So wait,
the problem will be solved.
You think the people in charge are going to come and pick up the fate?
Yeah, their lackeys are going to be the ones that get caught in that explosion. And I know it firsthand that they have an entire arm of a elevated police force that, I mean, they're above the law. Like, we have to blow this shit up.
If you want to wait, Sparks, that's fine. We plant all these explosives, one on each gate, one on each circle, and we rig them to all blow with, we come up with some type of a transmitter. We'll figure out a way to take out the 4th. We don't blow it until we find out a little bit more information, but we do blow it no matter what. And if all of us are killed, the last one alive blows it up. Will you agree to that?
I guess I have no choice.
There's always a choice. You ain't getting forced into shit here.
Let's just hope it doesn't come to that.
I asked you a question, Sparks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in.
Good. Take those explosives. Figure out how to set them, how to tie them all together. I'm sure Kid here can tell you where they'll do the most damage.
Where are we going to lay them?
Didn't I just fucking tell you that? Talk to the damn computer. You're the computer guy. You talk to computers. That's what you fucking do. That's your job. Do your fucking job.
Look, we're not on the force anymore, and you're not going to just boss me around.
Okay, what are your alternatives? What are you going to do? What do you want to do, Sparks? Tell me what that brain of yours.
Hey, Grams, calm down, man.
We need to do some recon and figure out what's going on, where we can actually take these down. What are these gates doing?
Didn't we just have that conversation? I said, don't blow it up. That's fine. But place them where they'll do the most damage and destroy the gates if we need to. Did you not hear that?
You seemed a little more gung-ho just a moment ago, talking about how we're all going to die. I just wanted to
I never said we're all going to die. Now you're hearing shit. Did that fade get into your fucking brain? Do you not understand? I never said we're going to fucking die. Talk to the computer.
All right. Well, let's see what we'll see if we can get these explosives working. I'd like a radio transmitted detonator so we don't have to be right next to them, because I'm not so willing to give up my life, but we'll try that.
Yep, there is a detonator in the box.
Well, looky here. That's mighty useful.
Poetic. Mighty fucking poetic.
So
anyway,
let's grab them.
Yeah, go ahead. Jeremy, give us the next step here. I'm sick of arguing with this asshole.
So you collect these high explosives, very carefully nestling them away in some form of carrier, bag, what have you, as well as this remote detonator, and disembark the Hoff 2000. And not far from where you have the ship parked, you find more or less kind of a guide, a map, a terminal that has a little very easily accessible, user-friendly styled, show you the way around. There's obviously a lot of areas that are labeled as restricted where the information is not displayed. Although Sparks, you're fairly certain that you might be able to fix that small problem. But you easily find things like, the reception area, the check-in and check-out, the launch pads, the restrooms, things of that nature, and one area that is marked security. And then you see a large area that is labeled as effectively, it's let me see. It says to the fields, and it has what looks like parking spaces. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. So now one of you says something.
I'm waiting for these guys. I don't want to be the first person to talk every time. Let these guys do it.
Sorry, I was trying to research Astra, the different colors and what they did, so I kind of missed what happened. What you just described, other than the parking places, because there's only 3 bombs. So I was trying to think if we blew up 3 of them, which one not to blow up. So that's my bad.
Effectively, you found a terminal that had a mall map on it.
Yeah, I say we check out the fields and see if that's the production, because if that's the production area, that's what we want to shut down.
With a mall map being here, is there also like a little mall golf cart to be able to zip from one place to another quickly?
No, but luckily they do have those little conveyor belt sidewalks that kind of run the side of the hallways for the people that don't want to actually walk down the hallway.
Perfect. Regardless whether or not we're trying to find additional information or just trying to blow this shit up, we need to get to one of these gates. Which color is the closest?
The map does not show that.
Visually, like we flew over.
Okay, fair enough. Hang on. The green one is the closest one.
Then if everyone would please follow the green line here, we're going to get on this moving sidewalk, and the white zone is for loading and unloading only.
I was going to say, a voice comes on the PA and says, "Moving conveyor, please watch your step."
Did you say that part of that map was like dimmed out or something?
Yeah, it was redacted. It had, basically, blank spaces where you can tell that there were structural elements. But
okay, well, I want to try to relieve that first, I guess, before we head out there.
Sure.
22.
Okay, so it takes a little bit of doing, but you're good at this kind of stuff. It's not the first terminal that you've had to hack, and you find that it's probably not all that different from a kiosk at a mall or something equivalent, and you're able to basically kind of access the information and even bring up a different version of the display that shows all of the redacted areas. Like I said, there's definitely one area that's labeled as security. There's even an area within the security department labeled as the brig. So it looks like they have the capability of locking this place down fairly tight. And go ahead.
Jeremy, do we see any type of a power, like a power source or a generator or anything like that on this map?
Yes, you do. There is one. There is essentially an engineering department as well, but it is attached to the compound here. It doesn't look like it necessarily has connections to the gates themselves.
Sparks, if we got you into the engineering section here, could you overload these gates? Could you set something? Maybe not with these bombs. Maybe you could use these bombs as a distraction or something, or even as protection or something. But do you think you could overload the system and blow it up?
Or even potentially tapping into the power sources of the bombs to overload it.
Something. What do you think?
It seems like, forgive me if I'm incorrect here, Jeremy, did you say it looked like the generator is not connected to the gates?
That is correct.
Yeah, so Sparks would say, sorry, no, the generator is not connected to the gates. I'm not sure how they're powered. I can definitely overload the generator and blow that up, but it looks like with this brig here, they're even ready for an explosion, which might mean that they have it already rigged to self-destruct. And if that's the case, we want to try to hop on that.
Well,
let's check it out in security. That's likely where the self-destruct button would be.
If these gates aren't connected to the grid, but they're obviously being powered, are they powered by Astra, by the natural power within potentially either this zone, this sector in space, or this comet or asteroid?
You guys are the Astra experts here. I can just read a set of designs.
So potentially this drug, this fade is the Astra fade from these circles being activated. So I don't know if they're just tapping into the Astra of the universe, but if that's the case, then that's bad news.
Hey, Jeremy, do we see the gates doing anything, these circles? Do we see them producing anything? Do we see anything going on around them when we flew in? Anything of consequence?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, around the rim of the interior of the ring, you can see them kind of softly glowing. But there are essentially robots, these automated devices that seem to almost be like traveling along this surface of them, even though you don't really see anything. Almost like they're skimming the outside of it. And as they're doing so, where they're skimming, it's pulling colored Astra kind of into some kind of collective, netting or containers that are on these robots.
Okay. We need to get in there, guys. Where do we want to go? Let's figure this out. We're wasting time.
If they are pulling Astra mechanically instead of biologically, then we got to blow this shit up now. That's bad news.
Either we destroy the rings that are collecting the Astra, or we try to blow up the workers, the robots that are actually collecting the Astra.
Considering we have 3 explosives, and there's probably dozens, if not hundreds, of these robots, probably stand a reason to blow up what they're skimming, not the robots themselves. Maybe you can shut the robots down, but we're blowing up these circles. With or without you. You can stay in the ship if you want.
I think you would die if I stayed in the ship. Every time I look, your ass needs saving, man. You talk a tough game for being such a soft target.
Maybe I'm the one who's taking the hits because I know that you can't. So maybe I put myself out there because I know how weak and pathetic you are.
Maybe it's about working smarter, not harder. You don't got to take a hit to win.
Whatever you need to tell yourself, Cupcake. At this point, I'd grab either the bag with the explosives or whatever, and I would just start going down the little green tram walkway thing. And just not looking back, pissed off at this point.
Man, don't let him get to you. I'll be all right. Let's go.
Let's go.
So on this mall map, where's the destination? Where are you headed to?
The green gate.
Okay, to the gate that leads to the fields.
Is there some kind of dish or some kind of transmitter that's projecting Astra somewhere from these gates?
No. There is a communications area on the map that you saw, and then there's also an area that you saw that is shipping, is what it was labeled. And from what you've been able to kind of tell as you've been paying attention, these skimmers are collecting, and then they're returning to the area that you've seen marked as shipping. So as you head towards this place that was marked as a gate to fields, you come in and you find these skiffs that are kind of parked, and they're about the same size as like a small car. It could probably seat 4 people, and they are capable of hovering and even small short-range flight. So if you wish, you easily can take one of these, and you can either take multiples of them, or you could all ride in one.
Well, I don't recommend these two getting in the same car at the moment. So
Yeah, I think I would just kind of hop in the first one and just go without looking back, without waiting for these guys.
Well, we have 3 explosives, so we should have 3 cars just in case we need to do something like that.
Makes sense.
So each of us gets our own explosive in our own car. I'll go to the green gate. Where are you guys going?
I'll go to the blue.
Yeah, if we're going to split up, then I'll head to the magenta.
Okay. So the 3 of you head out, and you all effectively find the same thing, though the colors may vary. You find as you get closer that these skimmers are actually kind of dipping into the threshold of these rings just a little, and are scooping Astra from this, essentially a portal. And as you get closer, you can see that there's kind of a shimmer, almost like the surface of water. But instead of it being water, it's this Astra, you know, and it's real faint. Like only in certain angles can you actually see the coloration as it kind of dances and flickers. These rings are, like I said, they're massive. And as you get closer, you feel gravity shift. And it shifts in a way that the surface of this gate effectively kind of becomes the ground, if you will. And you think, potentially, that you might even be able to walk out on it if you were to disembark from your ship, your skiff, if you will. And you kind of search around this, essentially what is like a large, perfectly circular lake of Astra, and are able to find at various places, dependent on the gate, that is kind of a collection point. It seems to be where the circle kind of begins and ends, if you will. It's definitely linked to the Astra being, the gate being kept open. So if you're looking for a singular place to put one of these explosives to try to do maximum damage, these places would probably be it. These little hubs.
Could we place them there and not be seen?
For the most part, there's no one here. Those seem to be, cameras that are situated kind of here and there. But the actual automated skimmers don't seem to pay you any attention whatsoever.
Then I would find a spot near where you're talking about and place the explosive and get it set up.
Are we within a mile of each other, by chance?
I don't imagine all three of you are within a mile of one another, but there's probably a mile or less between, each pair of you.
Then on my whisper link, I'm gonna shout out about that link spot. Just saying that I stay at the magenta one. There's a HUD here that looks like would be a good place to explode. And if I can, I'll take a picture of it and upload it to whomever.
And the three of you are easily able to plant these high explosives, if that, in fact, is what all three of you wish to do with your gate. And you get these placed, and about that time, you start seeing streaks, kind of contrails, whatever the word is, in the atmosphere, if you will. And it definitely looks like ships approaching. What do you wish to do?
I try to get on the whisper link and tell everybody, let's head back to the ship. Head back to the ship now. Set up your explosive and get back as soon as you can.
Roger that.
I just have a quick detour. I want to haul ass to the yellow gate as fast as I can. Sparks, I think I'm going to need you, actually. Xander, if you can pick us up, get the ship and rendezvous at the yellow gate, we might be able to use these gauntlets to channel yellow Astra through this gate to do effectively an energy tendril to pull all of the explosion from the other three into the fourth gate. Yellow is all about pulling and manipulating, so we might be able to to do something there.
We
I don't
have the
know.
void slip device too. Maybe we can try to, I don't know, use that somehow.
Who would have the detonator? Would it be me? I think I'd have been a jerk and kept it.
Very possible.
Philip's like, yeah. So yeah, I think when he said that, I would say fine. Without thinking, I'd turn and just make a beeline for the ship, not really caring about what they're doing.
Okay, so you gun your skiffs as fast as you can. Xander heading back to the docking bay. Sparks and Calvin rendezvousing at the yellow Astra gate, the furthest from the base. And the ships that you've seen that are coming in through atmosphere are heading towards the shipping area. And about that time, you see smaller skiffs similar to the ones that you're wearing or that you're driving about that are loaded down with large drums, leaving the shipping area and beginning to dock up with these ships that have entered the atmosphere but don't appear to be landing. They more or less just kind of slow down over the shipping area, and these smaller skiffs are meeting up with them and docking. Sparks and Calvin, you reach the yellow gate first. So what are you doing once you arrive there?
I'm going to rush to that same point, the linkage point that we found at the other gates, and take off my gloves and try to. Or is there a like a computer here? No. Okay.
No, this entire thing, each of the gates has kind of been individual. It's been isolated from the others and from the compound. And your guess is that whatever mechanism is going on with the Astra gate itself is actually fueled from the Astra that is coming through this portal.
Sparks, I don't know whatever you have in your bag, man, but if you can somehow find a way to link these gloves to this device, need to try to channel this yellow Astra.
I think we can use those gloves to boost the void slip beacon device so that it's pulling energy from multiple locations. And if we're pulling maybe energy from all three of the Astrogate centers to this one and put the void slip device in the center, we'll be able to blow this one up too. So we basically need Xander to get here as soon as possible with the ship and the void slip from the Scrugs.
So I want to spin some Astra to effectively boost the gauntlets through my my magenta Astra through Astra Bolt. I don't necessarily want to cast an Astra Bolt, but I have the ability to make it my Astra Bolt hit 3 separate targets. So I want to use that ability to enhance the gloves to be able to reach out to the 3 different rings, if I can. And whatever fade penalty, let me know on that as well.
Yeah, so at this point, Xander has reached the ship and has powered it up. It is taking off and basically turning towards the yellow gate as these ships that have successfully docked with these skiffs are beginning to bank and kind of turn around, some of them near the green gate. And Xander and the Hoff 2000 are now on their way to where Sparks and Calvin are. Go ahead, Drake.
How far away am I from them now?
You are about half a plot device away. You're no, you are closing rapidly.
Well, meaning
I would
is,
say,
can I communicate with him? Is my thing.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're just at the edge of the mile range for your whisper links to work.
So I'd say, like, all right, guys, I'm on my way. Are you ready? Well, what are we doing?
We're
We
good
need to
there.
get the void slip device, and then we're going to channel the energy from the other 3 gates into this one and blow it.
So wait, I have to bring you the void slip device.
I'm prepping the gauntlets now that we need to boost the signal. As soon as you get here with the device, we'll be able to merge the two, set it, blow the hell out of here.
Now you want to blow them up, huh?
Hey, Drake.
Yeah.
You're fairly certain that you can probably load the void slip device into one of the empty missile bays and shoot that into the Astra gate.
I like that I'm fairly certain of that. Let's do that. And I will inform them thusly of what I will be doing as I shoot a missile with the void slip device into the gate.
Just don't miss.
And if I am going to miss, it will be towards Sparks.
Just make sure to lock on first.
So yeah, I what I think I would do is probably tell them. Yeah, I mean, just I would tell them what I'm doing, and they would do whatever accordingly.
Excellent. So
Take cover, I guess.
maybe. So as Sparks kind of takes cover,
It's less than 30 pounds, right? The device?
oh yeah.
Yeah, whenever it gets close, I'm going to grab shift it into position. Or no, unless he's able to put it into position with the rocket.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry. Okay, never mind.
No, yeah, you're good. So, Calvin, as you're standing, and I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that you may have actually even walked out onto the surface of this
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely.
Astra lake.
Especially yellow. Yeah.
Mhm. So, Sparks, you are standing this way, and Calvin is now perpendicular to you. And, Calvin, what does it feel like as you're standing on the threshold of a portal that leads directly to the source of Yellow Astra?
It's the most balanced and center that I've ever been in my life. He's having a very zen moment. If Xander happened to hit the button right about now, I think he'd be cool with it, even.
The missile launches from the ship with this void slip device kind of haphazardly put where the payload would normally go. And it streaks towards this yellow Astra gate with a kind of a tight spiral. And just as you're doing that, Sparks, you duck down behind cover, some large rocky outcroppings that are nearby. And Calvin, you use the gloves of Tendo to kind of reach down beside you as the yellow Astra begins to climb up out of this gate, pulled by your gloves and your natural power to manipulate, especially yellow Astra. And I imagine at this point, you might hit the detonator on these explosives that have been set on the green, magenta, and blue gates. They explode with a huge amount of noise and fire as the ring is kind of torn asunder and the color of Astra begins to dissipate. But before it's able to, you, Calvin, reach through the portal of yellow Astra, and where your hands have kind of been pointed down towards this surface that you're standing on, these large tendrils that kind of engulf your entire arms, smaller tendrils inside of those begin to come up and spiral around one another, magenta, blue, and green, spiraling upwards into your hands. And you see, just about the time that they reach your hands, that the fire of the explosion begins to kind of creep up along those colored tendrils. And you manage to kind of bring your hands together and bring all of these tendrils to where they touch one another, which causes this complete lack of sound. There's this moment where everything falls completely silent. And then there is an enormous eruption of pure yellow Astra that ripples out away from Calvin and shatters the ring that formed this yellow gate. Sparks, you're thrown to the ground as this yellow Astra pours over this rock and scatters across the ground. Xander, you and the ship in the Hoff 2000, less than a mile away, have the worst turbulence that you've ever felt. You may have that mask back on before long. And when everything kind of settles down just a bit, you see that in the explosion, the ships that had been loading these crates, these barrels, have either already exploded themselves or are having to make emergency landings here on the asteroid, as they have been completely disabled. And there is no sign of Calvin, save a vaguely humanoid shape made purely of yellow Astra that then melts into the surface of this disappearing portal. And then all of the Astra, all of the yellow, disappears entirely. I think that's what we're going to call it, guys. I think that's what we're going to call the end.
As he melds into the world of yellow Astra and becomes the lawnmower man and gets digitized into yellow Astra. Jeremy, would you have a problem if I picked up where this one ended?
No, man, not at all.
I have an idea. I'll see if I can schedule with you guys. No, man, that was I like the end. I like the end of that. That was fun.
Good. That was not how I planned on it ending, but that was better than what I had planned.
Cool.
I really enjoy fighting with Philip. I really do.
That was fun, yeah.
Just on a personal level, it's just what I need to do. No, man, it's
really good.
There's so much left unsaid, you know. But I like the 80s. Okay, it took me, dude. It took me an hour and a half to figure out you were saying the Hoff 2000. I thought you were saying Hawk.
No, nope.
And it wasn't funny until it was Kit and the yeah. So I'm a little slow today, but
it's all right. I'm glad you caught it.
I did. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, and I like the gloves of Tendo. That's just that. But Mike,
yeah, I'm glad that the items got used.
Mike, that was clever, man. Doing the how you did all the manipulations of the Astra. I thought that was really cool. Thanks. I think you did a good job with that. But guys, I kept trying to just be quiet to let you guys go, and
yeah, I'm a support player, so it's hard for me to jump out, but I definitely see what you're saying.
I was just trying to give you guys more
opportunities. Yeah.
Well, because I'm always the first person to go, okay, I'm going to do that, and I just wanted you guys to.
Well, I think it worked pretty well because, like, originally you were the highest ranking, so we were following your lead, and then we were pretending to be your cronies, and so it kind of just ended up happening. But
yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
so, Jeremy, if I finish it up, will you actually be in it?
Oh yeah, man.
Okay. I don't think I've ever run a game for you before. God, I got to run another game.
I'm not sure.
Oh God. No, dude, I love this idea. The whole 80s theme is awesome. I like what you did with it, and it just shows how versatile Harbinger is.
I agree.
Just a can of paint.
Yeah.
Scrugs. We got some Scrugs. I almost died a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys, I had planned for you guys to have the capability of taking out 3 of the gates. And through the 4th gate, there was going to be an Astra Eldritch Horror that was going to come out that was going to be based on whichever color it was that you guys had decided to not blow up, that you would have ended up fighting. But I had built the encounter around there being 5 of you. So it's probably a good thing that we didn't end up going that route, and we went for a much more cinematic, character-driven ending. So I'm very, very happy that it went that way.
So when can I expect to see the Astra Gates terrain made?
Whenever you come over and start playing at my house.
You're an hour away, my friend. And you got dogs.
It's
Me and
true.
dogs. It's allergies. It's bad. I mean, come on! You make everything else. You made a half tiger wing thing that looked awesome.
I think it was badass.
Yeah,
That's the truth. I like doing that kind of stuff. Well, guys,
I try.
Thank you very, very much for playing in this mini saga, this 3-part Astra Gates craziness. Lisa, we missed you very much. Thomas, we missed you very much. Sorry it didn't end up working out. But a huge, massive thank you to Drake, Philip, Michael, and also Thomas and Lisa for letting me do this, letting me be ridiculous and run some Harbinger in the strange light that for whatever reason came into my head and told me to do it this way. Yeah, it may not be the last time that I run a game like this, so we'll have to see if it comes back up again in the rotation. But I had an absolute blast, and for those of you who tuned in and gave us a watch along this evening, thank you very, very much. I cannot stress how much that means to me to see that little number at the bottom telling me I've got people watching. And for those of you who may give us a watch later on, again, a huge, huge thank you from the bottom of my heart. And yeah, I can't think of anything else to say, guys. So unless you want to go through outros, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. All right.
Groovy. Go ahead, bud.
Well, guys, this has been the Erasmus Expeditions. This has been the Astra Gates. This has been Harbinger, a playtest put out by the wonderful, creative, supportive, fantastic guys at Absolute Tabletop. Absolutely go to their Facebook group, join up, get in games like this, get to know the people that go there and hang out, talk about gaming. It's a phenomenal place. So I hope to see you there. And until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.